on mute. Just hit mute. Did it turn on? There we go.
Okay, we'll try again. This is Syl, everybody.
A year ago, I got on a plane a different person than I am now. I spent almost all of 2019 living and studying in Córdoba province, Argentina. My name is Syl, and I left for Argentina February 2019, and I returned December 2019, which corresponds with Argentina's March to December school year. Some of my experiences were challenging, some I was unprepared for, but all of them were rewarding. In these 11 months, I changed a lot as a person and became not only more adventurous, but I adopted a language and a culture. When I came to Argentina, I had about a year and a half's worth of high school Spanish under my belt. Even though I was able to communicate effectively enough and talk about most simple subjects, I unsurprisingly had a learning period before my Spanish ability was fully developed. It's not common to find English speakers in Argentina, and much less so in my small town of about 4,000 people, and so the language immersion was complete. It was sometimes frustrating for me trying to express myself when I didn't have the words to do so. Because I was used to speaking in English, I would frequently find myself trying to say phrases that didn't quite translate or didn't translate very well into Spanish. Things like, I wonder, I get it, double negatives, even next week. I would find myself reaching for in conversations and then trip over myself slightly before I got used to the way that Argentinians say the same ideas in different ways. An example of which would be, can you come pick me up? Which would be said, literally translated, do you carry me? For anyone who's never spent a long period of time speaking a second language, the best way I can describe trying to say something that I don't have the vocabulary to say is like walking smoothly a certain distance and then coming upon a mental wall. Every time I tried to search for different words or restructure my sentence or try to say it in a different way but still didn't quite arrive at communication, felt like feeling along the wall for weak spots, holes, and cracks, trying to push through but never quite making it. Sometimes I would be talking to my friends and hearing my own accent and I would cringe. I remember a moment the first month in physics class when the teacher asked a question that I knew the answer to. I raised my hand and tried to respond, but I couldn't quite find the words to express myself. She let me struggle for a few minutes, and then when nobody else wanted to answer, she turned around and explained the exact thing I was trying to say on the board. I've never been more frustrated with Spanish. It felt like I wasn't smart in Spanish like I was in English. But there's never been a single moment that I've spent studying a foreign language that I've wondered if it was worth it. Because from reading an untranslated book to understanding lyrics with their original rhymes to simply talking with my non-English speaking friends, every moment that I've spent using it, I've known that it was. I got so much more out of this year than just a language. I got a new culture. Argentinian culture is very different from here in the United States, and there was a lot that I needed to get used to. At times I struggled with assimilating. People in Argentina are warmer, by which I mean more extroverted, at times loud, and the cultural perception of personal space is looser. Personally, I'm a bit of a germaphobe. A year ago, I would have blanched at touching a doorknob or shaking hands with a stranger, and although I knew I would have to face some of those uncertainties when I went to Argentina, I at least expected everyone to have their own straw. That's not an exaggeration. This is mate, a traditional South American drink. It's most common in Argentina and parts of Brazil and Uruguay. I have some here, and it's drunk in a group setting with 1 cup and straw, and water's poured in each time and then passed to the next person. Maybe my other reservations about greeting people with a kiss or my friends touching my face and hair seem small. It would seem like this kind of sociable and extroverted culture would make it easier to make friends, but I still struggled like any outsider in a new environment would. The thing that helped me the most was to always say yes. The first week, my classmates were very interested in me, but after that died down a bit and people weren't talking to me as much, and the language barrier wasn't helping, I had to get over a lot of social fear and force myself to ask my friends what their plans were and if I could be included before I could get to know them better and start making those deeper connections. And so no matter what mood I was in or no matter how much I knew the person, anytime I was invited anywhere, I always said yes. Because the key to making friendships in a new group is sometimes just spending time with people. Especially in a sociable culture like in Argentina, being a quiet person myself, I was already perceived as very shy and reserved, and so I had to make it clear and communicate to my friends that I didn't actually prefer to spend my weekends alone. Even though I was out of my comfort zone and being vulnerable not just in specific relationships, but in general putting myself in the situation of being the only foreigner in town, I did make friendships that I will carry with me my whole life. Just last night I spent about 2 hours video calling with some of my Argentinian friends, and we're already planning when we'll next see each other. I'm glad I didn't spend too long in the beginning waiting for other people to come to me, because it would have been a very lonely year. School in Argentina was the first time that I got to see the United States and the English language from a non-North American and non-English perspective. I had some of my beliefs challenged. Even just the way that the history books speak about the United States made me think. Some of the language used to describe us to me bordered between idealizing and fearful, emphasizing the United States as a continental and global economic superpower. Our economic crises and foreign relations directly impacted and continue to directly impact Argentina. Some of my classmates hated the United States, and some of them were obsessed. The language, culture, brands, TV shows, music, and some of them asked me questions that I didn't have answers to, examples of which include, is there cake in America? That's an actual question I got. What are traditional North American dances? Why is college so expensive there? Why do you have to pay for college at all? How did Donald Trump get elected? Are people in the United States racist? Why did the United States start the Vietnam War? How could anyone shoot and kill their classmates? Argentinians see the United States as a powerful overlord of Central and Southern American countries. Our media and politics are directly relevant in their lives. In the local news program, there was even a corner of the TV that was always dedicated to showing the economic value of the American dollar. I felt terrible whenever anybody asked me what I'd heard about Argentina before I came, because they knew so much about my country and I knew so little about theirs. The truth is, I only knew that the current Pope and the soccer player Lionel Messi and tango was from Argentina, which, by the way, tango isn't really even relevant in anywhere except for Buenos Aires. I didn't see anybody dancing it in Cordoba. I usually just said that I'd heard that people were nice there to choose which country to go to for my exchange, because I really only chose it because it was the cheapest option, which I later knew was because of the economic crisis that makes the Argentinian peso value so low. My geography teacher was constantly criticizing the United States and gave me chances to defend it, but I usually didn't. Being identified as from the United States was a new experience for me, because here it's nothing special. I'm guessing almost everybody in this room is from the United States. But for almost all the people that I met in Argentina, I was the only North American that they'd ever spoken to in their lives. That's a lot of responsibility. I was essentially representing an entire country. Before I came, I did know that I would be a sort of representative, but it didn't sink in until I was there that my words and actions would directly impact people's opinions of the United States. I had to be conscious of what I said and what I didn't, what I chose to defend and what I did not. People call me La Shanky, which translates to Yankee girl. I didn't have a choice about whether or not to be labeled this way, but honestly, I didn't mind it. Because while I couldn't choose what country I was born in, it's also true that growing up in the United States has shaped my perceptions and maybe who I am today, just like my Argentinian friends have been shaped by their own culture. I did have English as a foreign language class in Argentina, and believe it or not, I got my worst grade in that class. That's right, I did better in my bovine science class, a class dedicated to the study of behavior and anatomy of cows, than a low-level foreign language class designed to teach me my own native language. It's a good thing I wasn't there to learn English. I didn't keep showing up to school because I wanted to know how to artificially inseminate a cow. In fact, I wish I didn't know how to do that. I was there to see and live a different experience from my own, and I left with a better perspective of my country and myself. I am incredibly grateful to have been born in the circumstances that made getting a job to earn the money to travel internationally like this at my age possible. and to go to a school that allows me the flexibility to take multiple foreign language classes and study in another country for a full academic year. I took a risk on a new experience, and I consider myself more adventurous and culturally aware, which are qualities that I think will help me in the kind of life that I want to have. Sometimes you have reservations about difficulties you might face that keep you from making big decisions. But trust me, the end result and personal goal are valuable enough to make it worth it.